students from Bedford High School. What we're going to do with tonight, Reflections of Martin Luther King, is culture, unity, and success. And several of our previous community forums, always we had staff and we had staff and political figures, we had community members, parents, and so our superintendent, Dr. Simon Johnson, who definitely has a heart for our children, along with our board of education, said we want to hear from our students. So tonight we're going to feature four of Bedford High School's finest. We're doing part two of culture, unity, and success. I did share with them that I would introduce them, but because of the sake of time and who they are, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, if they would share their first and last name and their grade and anything particular that the audience wants to see. So again, thank you and welcome for joining us. We're going to take probably about a half hour, 45 minutes, and we're going to have a roundtable discussion. But I'll start off with our first student, Jeanette.
Thank you very much. I'm Junior Solano. I attend Bedford High School. I'm a senior currently, and not much to know about me. I'm not very interesting, but you can say I'm a social person, and I'm pretty excited to do this. That's pretty much it.
Hello, my name is Ariel Watson. I attend Bedford High School. I'm a senior. Some of the activities that I do within the school is I'm part of the senior class officers. I'm secretary. I'm also part of the music program within the high school. That's pretty much it. I am involved in a lot of school activities and what's going on behind the scenes and stuff.
Hi, my name is Quinn. I attend Bearcats High School. I'm in the 10th grade, and I am Bedford High School's first GSA president. I am a Black queer advocate for human rights. I've been advocating for about 2 years now, and that's really it about me.
Hello. My name is Austin Luke. I'm the president of the Marching Band, Student Senate, and the class officers together. So yeah, I'm very involved around the school. I'm in NHS, I'm in our mentoring group, I'm in yearbook. I'm just overall a positive vibe around the school. So you probably see me a lot. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much. So we have several questions that we're going to dive right into this discussion. My first question will go to Quinn. Quinn, how do you define culture? Can you speak to that?
I define culture as something that's created amongst people who have a sense of relatability within one another. And for us, we have a sense of Black culture, African American culture together. We all relate to being African American, and we just form that sort of culture together and just defining, us as ourselves. So for me, culture is something that somebody has a relatability to. There's the LGBTQIA community. There's a culture on its own. There's a religious culture as well. So yeah, that is kind of my culture.
So if you can go a little bit deeper with me, what factors influence any particular culture? What are some of the factors that you think influence that?
I think factors where people actively reaching out to other people to bring them into the culture as well. And showing them hey, we're like this, we're together, we're part of the same culture, we're part of the same community as well. So I believe that's one of the many factors that influence.
I would also like to say that, the most common things, food, music, how we're disciplined in our cultures, the factors that play, and it's a major part of how the cultures operate.
Food and clothing, things like that.
Right, because there's many different foods and different cultures.
So, Danielle, earlier today and earlier this week when we had met and had some discussions, we talked about why is it important to even learn about other cultures. And can you share about, from your perspective, why it's so important to even learn about other cultures?
I did get some notes down. I did write some notes down.
Awesome.
I said it's important to understand other cultures because people should feel, I don't know, I can't use the word, but they should understand how a wider culture acts the way they do, because, most times, if you don't know Black culture, it would act a certain way, be a certain way from how their culture, was, how they act. And I also said to understand and be sensitive to the culture because you're watching from a bird's eye view, so you would, almost want to respect their culture because you don't want to come off, insensitive or disrespectful in any sense. I also said that there's a language barrier, and I think it's important to understand and know about other languages and learn other languages. I'm a victim myself. I don't understand Spanish, even though I'm Hispanic, which is stupid, but I think it's important to learn other languages and to understand how they speak. That's pretty much about it. I mean, I have more if you want to talk.
I saw Ariel reach her hand up a little bit. Ariel, did you want to jump in and expound on it?
I would say it's really important to learn about other cultures. I would say because dating in Hispanic, it's definitely a culture shock from living in a Black household and then going to somebody else's household and understanding that my ignorance to the Hispanic culture was that it was just one big thing. But I forgot to realize even in Black culture, there were subcultures in Black cultures. So just as much as that's with us, it's with other cultures too. So going over his house, going to parties, meeting family members, doing activities, meeting other relatives that have different ethnicities but are still connected in some way. It's definitely a culture shock. And another thing that I want to add is I don't see particularly a lot of Hispanic classes. Like, in my own personal research, I didn't see any Hispanic learning classes, any Mexican learning classes, but we do learn about white heritage, Black heritage, Chinese, Japanese. I don't see a lot of that. So I think that's another big thing, because we do have Hispanic Heritage Month, but in at least this high school, a big chunk of it has Hispanic people, or Mexican, Dominican, Puerto Rican. But we don't really know a lot about their culture. We learn a lot about Black culture because that's the majority. But the minority still needs their respect. They still want to be heard. They also want their culture to be seen, because when I first met Danielle and I asked him, and he told me he was Puerto Rican, my first assumption was oh, you know Spanish. But that was just a culture thing that I didn't know, that all Hispanic people do not know Spanish. So it is important to learn about other cultures. It is important to be acknowledged about stuff that's going on.
I appreciate it. So you talk about subculture. You talk about subculture, and you talk about the importance of just educating ourselves about culture and other cultures. I think that's huge. Wait,
I would like to piggyback off of that, and it is very important to learn cultures to also stay away from stigma and stereotypes, because that is something huge that happens between people's cultures. And there's a whole lot of stereotypes when it comes to African American culture, when it comes to Hispanic culture, when it comes to Asian culture.
When it comes to every single culture altogether, my reasoning for believing that culture should be something that should be learned amongst other people, especially within people within that whole entire
Group itself
is
to steer away from stereotypes, as mentioned previously.
sorry about that. Experience a little technical difficulty. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I was just adding on for everything. I think culture, knowing about other people's cultures and other cultures, is important in life. As we progress in life, you're going to meet certain groups and certain people who believe different things. And it's always, I heard a quote, it's always, you want to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So learn about those certain things and just adapt to those certain things. That's important going through life.
It's not much to say, but I would like to agree with Quinn on some of my notes. I would agree. To avoid the ethnic racial divisions, a lot of people nowadays understand that the way they perceive other cultures can come off in a bad way, And a lot of times, in my experience, not so many examples, but I've experienced a lot of people that don't understand, Hispanic culture or any other culture, and it would just come off kind of, in a sense, disrespectful. So,
I hear a lot of, in this conversation, you guys talk about subcultures, respect, understanding personalities, but I kept hearing the word respect. And I heard also how when we are ignorant to not understand or learning, we wouldn't say ignorant, but we're not knowledgeable of other cultures, it becomes lack of respect. So can we talk about the level of respect, especially in your generation, all generations talk about that respect, being a right and responsibility, respect goes both ways, I should respect you, you should respect me. So can you guys talk about a little bit, how do we respect other cultures, especially when we don't know or aren't educated properly on other cultures?
I'm just gonna speak really quick, and I'll pass it on. I think, in my personal opinion and experience, it's not much you can do. It's not, because at the end of the day, people are gonna be how they are, and it's just kind of something you have to accept. There's only so much you can inform them about certain cultures, and most times they won't understand because they haven't experienced it, which is not bad, but it's not bad that they won't take the time to understand it. But there's that line where they'll only go so far to understand it, which is fine, but then it'll just come off disrespectful in a sense.
Earlier in the week, we had talked about how people sometimes get angry and upset because they don't know the other person's culture, and you can't have a congenial conversation. Can we speak about some strategies of how we can agree to disagree or get comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Yeah, I just think about your entire upbringing. So like going through school and you're learning how to be respectful to others, learn about others' point of views. I would just say it's important to know that, because like I said before, you're gonna go through life, you're gonna encounter some things you haven't before. So just trying, it's gonna take some time with you telling yourself that you have to be a certain way as far as understanding other people's point of views and understanding that what they think is probably different than yours. So that's a little bit of that.
So, go ahead, Quinn, did you have a comment? So I want to move into unity. So we're talking about culture, we're talking about the importance of understanding our people's culture, we talk about how do we define culture, we talk about how do we respect one another's culture. So I want to move into unity. So how do you define unity?
I define unity as something where everybody could just be together all at once. For me, unity is revolved around community. We all have, our place, a part of the community. I'm part of the LGBTQIA community as well, I'm part of the African American community, also known as the Black community. For me, you cannot have community without unity, and for me, unity is togetherness. It's a bond with one another, something that we can agree to disagree with as well, but also something that we can find a mutual grounding with. For me, unity is something that we have all together. We are all brothers and sisters, and we are all family. We are all in each other's hearts as well.
Quinn, would you say that one more time? You said there is no community without unity. Say that one more time. I like that.
There is no community without unity.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I think I saw Jamie there. You get excited.
Like I said, I would like to agree with Quinn. I think it's a collective thing. I think it's where it's not just one, it's not two, it's a majority of people that have come to an understanding and respect for each other, no matter their differences. And that's pretty much it in my opinion.
So what are you?
So I think another thing, an example of unity is I think if something is going wrong, it's not just, oh, that's your problem. That's just your problem, no mind my business. In a community where there's unity with everybody, if it's a problem, at that point it's everybody's problem. So like with all of the police brutality and the other world problems that has to differ with the Black community, it's not just a problem where it's just Black community is supporting and fighting for everybody to get the same thing. So it's not just a one-person thing, it's an everybody thing. Everybody's in it together, it's just like a team. So if one person falls, everybody has to help them to get back up.
Anyone else?
So I did notice that she mentioned when it comes to police brutality, and we have discussed the George Floyd incident that happened within 2019. And you notice that there were riots, there was protests against that. That is the Black community coming together, and it's not just the Black community, it's every community coming together to say Black Lives Matter, that we are seen, we are heard. And that's what I do call a community, showing one another to protect one another. So for me, communities protecting one another. For me, communities loving one another, defending one another when another gets hurt or even killed.
Well, you answered my next question. How do you create an environment of unity in our school and communities? You talked about, defending one another, standing up for one another, being together, being on one accord. Can we expound on how do we create an environment of unity with our school and our community?
Yeah, I think Beverly does a good job of this. We have a lot of organizations and clubs you can join that really enforces this. I talk about marching band a lot. I think marching band is probably one of the biggest, proudest, most excited group in the school. We do a lot of pep rallies and parades and playing the halftime shows. And then that's what the crowd sees, but behind that there's a lot of groundbreaking things we have to do, like the band camp, the long summer session we have to go through, with just a lot of preparation. And throughout that, people meet people that you never thought you would meet before, and your eyes are open to a whole different perspective. We tie that to our first bullet point. So yeah, just joining different organizations and then being open to joining different groups, I think is a big part of creating unity.
I'd like to highly agree with Austin. I can say in my experience of the school year, I've seen my girlfriend Austin in marching band, and it was very eye-opening because I knew what they had going on was more than just marching and band and everything. It was more like a family, and it was really a unity thing. It was a very coming together process and doing it all together, because if the issue is bad on one side, it's good, So you guys really came together, and it did open my eye, and it did make me more open to a lot of things and understanding of it, because you guys were unity, and I saw it. It was really nice.
So Danielle, did you want to say something? Go ahead, I'm come back to you.
And so I believe, building a safe space starts with an idea. For me, I am president of the Gender Sexuality Association Club, and it starts with an idea. It starts with an idea of maybe we should make a safe place for students, but also people a part of this community here, for everybody to just come together and protect one another, to love one another, to know that we're safe in each other's arms. So for me, building a community starts with an idea, and then it goes on to action. It goes on further until there's a whole big community.
Awesome. So, the reason why I get this next question, I appreciate the heartfelt, passionate answers. What are the benefits of creating a culture of unity? What are the benefits of this culture of unity in our school, our homes, our community? And to your point, Ariel, even the world. We talked about police brutality. We talked about the George Floyd incident. We talked about learning different cultures. We talked about respect and disrespect. We talked about being in a band, different family atmosphere, creating a safe space in our different organizations, our different gender identity components. So what are the benefits of unity in the school, in our home, in our community, and even in the world?
I definitely feel like the benefits of unity, it makes a more comfortable space. So you're able to express how you feel without being judged, and you're able to make more bright ideas. So the idea that we had as senior class officers was a sneaker ball. We never thought this is the first time we ever did it before, but because we had the proper tools, we had the right environment, we had the proper people to help us bring the idea forward. It was a form of unity where everybody that was involved with it, we brought something together that everybody could enjoy it, where it wasn't just, oh, it's only a senior thing, it's only a freshman thing. It was an everybody thing. anybody could have bought a ticket. I'm sure only better students were supposed to. Yeah, so stuff like that. It creates something that is in a memory that is gonna be everlasting. So like with anything that's associated with happiness and fun and joy, which is I think is a result of unity. It's gonna be something that makes you feel better. It makes you want to be able to socialize more and talk more and be more comfortable in just the environment that you're in.
You guys had a sneaker ball?
Yes.
I've been asking Austin for his sneakers. You got some Jordans I've been wanting for the last couple of years. But that's awesome. So talk about the sneaker ball. You talk about how you have the right tools, you have the right support, the right strategies. It was an atmosphere, an environment that was very conducive for unity. So talk about some other things that you all have done, not just at the high school, but maybe in your community or in the middle school, or this journey of education that you guys have been in for the last 11, 12 years. What are some of the benefits that you guys had in different building unity and culture?
Well, I would say, just for me personally, I know Austin was in some of the things that I participated in, like Unity. So like Unity Week for like jazz band last year, the jazz band played in the lunchrooms and just brought music to people. Because I thought, as we said before, music is a form of culture. So if it's jazz music, which originally originated from Black people. So if we bring that to the school and give them something to listen to, give them something to like make them feel a little bit better for the day, that's something that, you know, joyful. Some other things that I participated in that, repeat the question one more time, please.
Yeah, just talking about, some of the benefits. You talk about different music, how this is different genres of music. You specifically talk about jazz, how that's a benefit, it brings people together. When you said that, I remember we used to have open mic Fridays in the cafeteria. We would play different genres of music. Knowing your background ethnicity, if you guys could speak to the Hispanic culture music, there's a different, component there. When I grew up, we had, hip hop. It wasn't Jay-Z, it was LL Cool J and Rockabells and John Mags, things like that. New Edition, and so there's a different type of genre of music. So you basically talk about how music is a benefit of bringing us together.
I think another thing, another one of the programs that I was in the service learning seminar. So not only did it bring unity within the school, it brought unity within the culture, because we were helping not only it wasn't for ourselves, it was for someone else. And when you're giving more than you're receiving, it feels to the person like you want to help. You want to make something better in your community. You want to be that asset or that guide or that tool to be able to progress. So like some of the things that we did, we cleaned up around the high school, like in the courtyards, since those aren't used anymore. We did some stuff with the Cleveland Food Bank, which I think is a thing that we do yearly now. It happens every semester in the high school. Another thing that we did is we also did some stuff for like nursing homes. So like we sent pictures of like family Thanksgiving cards. So
giving involved,
Yeah.
giving to the community. So I know the high school does something that every year, I believe it's called Unity Week. Can you guys speak to some of the things that you do during Unity Week?
I just know, so that's like a week in, I think, March, right? Yeah, so that's the whole week in March, where I think, because I know like the jazz band, we play lunch, so for every period the jazz band plays, it's just a full week of providing unity. I know we had like Spirit Assembly, we had one in here last year. Just the whole school coming together, having fun and talking about what we need to do, what we need to accomplish for the rest of the school year. That's pretty much what I know. Yeah, because I was going to go back in addition, just talking about like the whole unity thing. It's nothing that the students have provided, but I talk about this a lot. Like the school, like the district has provided us with like great security guards and our great security team. I always shout them out. It's very nice like coming into school and like seeing a friendly face and hearing that friendly voice, in the morning. Because like on the outside looking in, we see Bedford has these other detectors and security guards. But I think having this like great security team is amazing. That essentially brings unity like throughout the whole school.
We talked about that earlier this week, the benefits of coming together, unity, culture. Can you speak about the security team and the culture, the unity, and the relationship building that they're doing that you appreciate? You talked a little bit about last week when you come.
Right, yeah. So it's just as simple as coming into school every day, just seeing them, hey, how you doing, having a good hour, and stuff like that. Just being like a father figure, because a lot of them are males. Just being like that good father figure. And like I said, that essentially brings everyone together. And like in the hallway, we see them, hey, how you doing? All right, get to class, get in the hallway. And we have that respect for them. That essentially, brings us together as one school. We all have that understanding that we need to do what we need to do. And then like additionally, our group had principal in school, she's like real tight with them. And she feeds off of them and they feed off of her. So we all tie that in together. And I feel like this year especially, we're getting back on the ball game, especially coming off of COVID. We're definitely getting back on the ball game. And this is a very good vibe in the school. I heard that a lot. So I definitely would say that.
So very good, John. So a very simple good morning, how are you doing?
Right.
Sets the tone.
Yeah, definitely.
And then seeing your administration and teachers on one accord with your security, it helps the environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Sense of unity.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about the metal detectors and things like that, but you talked about the overall ambiance of the environment, the atmosphere of the school. And John, I don't need your thoughts on come to you. But can you speak to just that relationship and how it makes you more successful mentally, emotionally, and physically?
Yeah, so like passing in the hallway, we're switching from period to period, you're seeing them, that same friendly face that you saw in the morning. You're seeing them telling you to get to class or telling you where you need to be. The students, when they hear that, they have a sense of respect for that, since we already have built that connection in the previous beginning of the school year. So I think, therefore, like us going to class, we therefore are in class more. There's a higher percentage of people attending class, therefore leading to a higher amount of graduation.
Johnny, I'm going to give a shameless plug. We do have one of our board members here, Ms. Sharon Macklin. And Ms. Macklin, we all actually call her Ms. Sharon. And she was part of the security team, she's part of the bus drivers and everything. And one thing I can say about Ms. Sharon, and even now, is that relationship that she had with the kids. No one messes with Ms. Sharon. You see Ms. Sharon, she's not 6'2", she may be 5'2", maybe 5. Okay, I'm sorry. 4'11", she's proud. But my point is, there was a mutual respect. But even to this day, all the students, and even you all know, she cared about you. And a lot of it would be, good morning, how you doing? What's the matter with you, baby? You all right? You put a smile on your face, and there was that relationship building that we had that brought about that sense of unity, that brought about that sense of culture, brought about that sense of love. So I can appreciate it. So I guess my point is, when parents and people see our building, and if you see security, it's not a negative thing.
Exactly.
I know we do have metal detectors now. However, look across the country, across the world, people are doing really mean, hateful things in schools. So it's not a deterrent or it's not a negative look on us. It's just a sign of the times. But however, we do have staff and students who show love, unity, and they're being respectful to one another, building positive relationships. I'm sorry, this is y'all conversation. Johnny.
I also like to speak on what Austin said, and what you said too, on building a relationship. I think not only is the security a positive thing to be around, I think the staff, teachers, principals, throughout my years in school, I think I've grown more, I've had more respect for the people in school that control what we do and everything. And I think it's beneficial to create bonds with staff and teachers. There's so much more to know and learn from their perspectives. And in the same sense, they do make you feel better. They do brighten your day. I'm like, it's kind of funny because a couple of years ago, I didn't know Miss Lewis as much because I wasn't as broad as I was, trying to go out my way to talk to people. But recently, I've just been more social with my elders per se, and I've had more respect for them because I know they do a lot, and they know me now, we talk, I see them, I say hi. Miss Lewis is always friendly, she's always nice, she always talks about how she loves our relationship. She's super motivating in a sense, she's super positive, and it's the same for teachers. Teachers are, creating a bond with teachers is kind of different. It feels like, it's like, it's almost like a parenting figure in a sense, but not really, but they do guide you, they do help you. I have a lot of teachers this year that have guided me. I had a couple of struggles with school, and they helped me out with that, and that's the sense of unity.
I want to pivot and piggyback off what you said. Can we speak to the importance that teachers play in the success of your mental, emotional, physical, the wholeness of the whole child, the whole student? Can you speak to the importance of the teacher relationship of knowing you, who you are, what you like, you don't dislike, your culture? There's an old saying that says, students and people and kids, they don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. So can you speak to the importance of that teacher-student relationship and understanding the culture and all that?
Right. I can definitely speak on that. I think students nowadays, especially in our generation, I think they don't see what teachers are doing or trying to do, or their purpose. It's not only their job to make us pass, but it's also their passion. It's what they like to do. So when they see a student isn't engaged or doesn't really care about their education, they bring them down. I've seen a lot of teachers that just want to see a kid pass. They just want to see that kid do better, and that kid doesn't care. So it would bring them down. It's not something they like to see. It's not something they want to see, and that's why I feel like students should, but they don't have to be more intensive to learn and engage in class, because if you don't engage with your teacher, you're not going to really create that. You're not going to end that boundary where you guys just don't talk. You guys just he doesn't really care either. So I feel like talking, expressing how you feel, and asking for guidance, anything would enlighten the teacher so much. I feel like, because that's what the teacher wants to do. There's not many teachers that just sit there and don't care about what you say.
Say that again. There's not too many teachers that what?
That don't care about what you say. And like what I said, a lot of kids don't understand. You just can talk to a teacher. Talk to a teacher, get their perspective on things, understand how they feel. Because a lot of teachers aren't felt either. As much as the students are felt, a lot of teachers are struggling right now with their job because kids don't care. I feel like that's the big gap with the learning right now, because the kids don't care, and now the teachers don't care. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, that's good. So we have to start caring. Like you say, teachers really care about it.
Right.
And it hurts their heart when they see kids.
Yeah, it hurts care about their own education. Right. I know a lot of I even know some teachers I won't even name that are struggling with their job per se, that are kind of they're just having a hard time because teachers, they're just not giving that kid to
Trying to figure out how to connect with that.
right.
kid.
And they never
know
can.
all these kids do.
And they never can, because once again, the kid doesn't want to learn. He doesn't really care as much, and there's not really much you can do. So
Quinn is going to jump out of her seat in this.
No, it's fine. And, when it comes to teachers caring about students' grades, trying their best, that reminds me of our next sentence, heroes and sheroes, that teachers and our principals are actually really heroes and sheroes. They provide great education to us. They build a bond with us. So if we have those one teacher that we're cool with, we do their work, it's fine, we can talk to them about literally anything. And to me, that is a teacher that is a hero in my mind and my heart. And I love those teachers that are willing to listen to you ramble after you get done with your work, or willing to help you when you struggle with a little part. And those teachers are the ones that really push and influence, especially for us and our generations. And sometimes those teachers are really underlooked. But for me, they will never be underlooked, because I notice when the teacher is really listening to me talk about some random game that I really love about, or some show that I really want to talk about, or just anything, and just encouraging me to do my work, because I do have a hard time finishing up work, I admit. But then there's those teachers that push you to make sure that you do your work, and then later on you can just talk about, to them, whatever you want to talk about, and they won't, understand. You like that, that's what you like, and to me that's a hero, and those are sheroes as well.
I want to piggyback and pivot just a little bit. if you guys could share with us, we're talking about unity and culture. Your generation is a whole other culture itself. And so can you give us some tools, some strategies to connect to your generation? What can we do to connect? 'Cause I'll be honest, I'm a millennial baby. This year I'm a millennial. but I know you guys are generation Z. Yeah, I'm not a baby boomer, but you know, talk about that connection. What can we do to bridge that gap? So if we're talking about Bearcats building bridges to social justice, what about connecting that gap between the two generations, heroes and sheroes? What can we do to connect?
Not gonna lie to you, a lot of the students in the high school, it's a very, between the classes, I feel like there's a cultural difference. Like the upperclassmen and the underclassmen in itself is a cultural difference.
So there's a gap just between you all culture from the 12th grade to 9th grade. Between your generation. Okay.
I think the reason why that is because in my chemistry class the other day, I was talking and we were talking about graduation, like COVID and stuff. And when they were talking, so majority of the students in there are underclassmen. They were saying how, oh yeah, when COVID had hit, I was still going to Miss Malloy's class and I had Miss Camardo's class. I'm like, y'all were still in middle school when COVID hit?
Yeah. You think about it, they're like 5th and 6th graders.
Right, so the understanding is like they never really had the freshman experience that we partially had. So even though us as seniors, we had a little bit of our freshman year, they didn't. They had their freshman year completely online. They weren't able to integrate. And then when they came to high school, like there was 2 classes above them that already knew the game, that already knew what was going on. So that also might be a thing. So me personally, I feel like there's definitely a gap between the upperclassmen and the underclassmen. And it's not anybody's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because of the circumstances that we were in, because of COVID, caused that.
And I think we need to be cognizant of that there's still effects of COVID. So you have people who are freshmen and sophomores now who never experienced the 7th, 8th grade year, or the 8th grade dance, or different experiences to mature and matriculate into high school. You said at home, some that take care of our younger siblings and all that for that. I want to pivot a little bit, but you can expound on. When I was coming up, his name was Fresh Prince, and he had this song called Parents Just Don't Understand. And so that was back in the 90s. So I'm sure you all have that same concept and that same thought process. So continue to still talk about the effects of COVID and that gap, but also pivot to, again, how can we as teachers, parents, administrators, and adults connect? So I know, like I said, parents just don't understand, but we really do.
Okay. I think with COVID too, it did affect how kids learn substantially. For about 1.5, maybe a good year and a half.
Almost 2.5 years.
Right, we were just at home learning. Barely came to school, maybe the higher kids came to school, but it was such a different experience, and it was such a learning curve trying to actually adjust to that we almost kind of forgot how it was. So coming back, it was a good experience. I can say 11th grade was a great experience to come back in, but it was also a learning curve again because it was so different. A good year and a half of your life is just spent in the house, and the majority of it was just work. And it was all done on a computer that was not even as good. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of a struggle, and coming back, I can definitely see, I wouldn't say all the seniors, but I would say more of the underclassmen. They're still younger, they still have more to learn, and I feel like they didn't learn properly in COVID. They didn't learn as much as they needed to, and they didn't get the potential they had because of the circumstances they were in. So I think it's definitely a learning curve. A lot of kids don't really care to learn or can learn because of how they were dealt with COVID.
That's good. I want to pivot. Go ahead, Austin. I want to pivot. It's almost 6:45. We have about 10 more minutes. Go ahead, also, and then we're gonna pivot to, media.
Okay. I would say like with COVID and everything occurring, I think so we were virtual a lot. So I think that brought a lot of, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter like sharing of like the school districts, what's going on in the school districts. So like with that, social media is a big influence in like our generation, Gen Z. So with that creation, seeing like student of the month and like different classes doing their field trips and then come to this game, here's the ticket, here's the link. I think that's a good way as far as connecting everyone together, especially our class. Seeing that social media, I'm pretty sure like if you go here, you follow our Instagram page. So we're frequently on Instagram like as a generation. So we see all that and we see the uplifting and we're commenting under the seniors. Congratulations going off to college, all the senior parades and everything. So I think that's a big factor.
So let's pivot. Let's pivot to talk about success heroes or sheroes. So here's a question, and anyone can start us off. Well, how does the media shape our view of the world and ourselves? How much does the media play in defining culture, unity, component? How does it shape, the world and ourselves? As Queen smiles.
All right, so the media is 100% in our lives, it's in everybody's lives, and things that we see, things that we put out, other people can see as well. And so you may have seen events on Instagram that might be nearby that have things to do with, the Black community. I've seen a Kwanzaa event as well, and so media, like pushing out different derivatives for people to just grasp onto at like events or just new facts or something else can also help promote a culture and show that this culture is out here and is representing. I've seen indigenous culture as well through an indigenous person who does art on Instagram. And so the media, influencing that person's art to my feed and to like, other people's feed can have their culture be represented and be well known.
Can I talk about the negative impacts? I think it does blur how we perceive things in many senses, relationships, problems that may be seen as worse than it actually is, people going against and disagreeing with religion, LGBTQ, etc. It's just a lot of things that are perceived horribly, when really it's just a lot of people's opinions making something look worse than it is, or making something look just bad. And I can say I've definitely been victim to that. I've definitely seen things perceived badly and felt kind of victim to that, And it's just kind of follow this trend where people ride this bandwagon that they don't like something, you don't like it in a sense. And really, you don't have a reason to, So relationship, trust issues, a lot of people just put out there that this, that's horrible. Don't do this in a relationship, when really, everything's gonna be different. It's a different relationship, So it's how people perceive things that can negatively impact you. You just have to learn to not let those things, blur your vision, because it's, at the end of the day, it's what you believe, it's what you want to accept, and it's what you want to do. So,
Awesome.
I think we touched a little bit on this last year. On the positive side, I think having like media, social media and stuff like that, it's great in our generation as well. We have a lot of entrepreneurship going on and like small businesses, so like social media is like a great way to like impact this and get the word out as far as like being that helping hand and that supporter and growing that business. So I think that's the beneficial part. Like you don't have to be like in the same state or the same city as one as far as like impacting their brand. Like we have Instagram now, so we can see what they're doing. Like go ahead and add that to the cart and whatever you gotta do.
I got about 7 more minutes, so I'm going to ask one more question. I have an ending thought or phrase. Can you speak to the impact of social media that has on our students or even on society?
I think one thing I would have to say about about social media, especially for upcoming young adults, is social media is not as it seems.
Social media is not what?
It is not as it seems.
Okay.
So, like, typically people only post the good things on social media. They don't show you the hard work, they don't show you the dedication, they don't show you the grind or the grit that it takes to get there. So a lot of people trying to do stuff to like go into certain fields, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to make $1 million, but they don't have a starting base because they just see the end result. They're not getting anything behind it about how much it takes to actually get there. So it's not as easy as it seems, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, everybody wants to be like this, everybody wants to be like that, or I want to have money, or I want to get this car, I want to have this house. But do you know how to get there? Do you know what it takes to get there? So that's all I gotta say.
If I was in church, I would say amen, but I'm in school. Anyone else?
I would like to agree with what she said, I think a lot of people see social media as the easy way out, and sometimes it can't always be easy, A lot of people want to do the same things, and, with time going on, it's going to get more complicated to do those same things. I feel like you should have a direct plan and path to do what you want to do, not what the social media wants you to do, you know what I mean?
There's an old saying that a man or woman who fails to plan, plans to fail. Quinn, and then I got one more, and this last question.
Although I do say media does have some perks, I believe social media, it's a living get-rich-quick scam or die trying. That's social media for a lot of us. There's a lot of people, and I'm agreeing as well, there's a lot of people who just show the end result of things, but also don't show the grind. Some people die trying to just, get all the money in the world, but they end up in debt to try their best to get that new jet ski, and it just doesn't work out in the end. So yeah, for me, social media is get rich quick or die trying.
All right. So, okay, and everyone answered this, and we're going to end this. I have 6:51. And so I'm going to take your time. If you would, as we close out, before we close out, I know we have a small audience, but aren't these kids great? Aren't these young adults awesome? You guys are really awesome. We're proud of you. Thank you so much for coming out as well. One word or phrase. We talked about unity, we talked about culture, we talked about success, grind, media, shaping all that. One word or phrase that you would give to our audience on unity, culture, success to bring us together.
Always have your arms open for those around you, because they will also be in your community and you're not alone.
Always have your arms open.
Probably one word, understanding.
You're gonna go last. I would say, for me personally, always be open-minded to anything, because you're not gonna know everything. You're not gonna be the know-it-all. You have to know there's gonna be differences in life, and you have to be informed about it.
Give me a second on this one.
Take your time. Because the purpose, the goal of this community forum, we are going to have another. If that's all right, Ms. Sharon, is that all right? Thank you. But our goal really is to, in fact, our superintendent's theme is "We Are One." And she began to preach that back in June, and we are one. And we have a one plan. We have one goal. And so the purpose of this forum is to talk about how can we come together and succeed and show love and be unified. Right?
Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, it's one word or phrase that will bring us together. Unity, talk about unity, culture, success. What's one word or phrase that you want to share with everyone that will bring us closer together? Janelle talked about being open-minded. Quinn talked about having open arms. Austin talked about being understanding. So what's one word or phrase that you would share with our audience that would bring us closer together in unity and love?
I think, well, this is a phrase that I heard, but it's just popping into my mind now. I think one thing is that there is only one race, which is the human race.
Well, there's only one race. That's the human race. You look at us as humans. And what color do we all believe?
Red.
Yeah. Well, students, thank you all so much tonight. The time now is 6:54. To our audience, I understand it's not many of us, however, I'm good. 4. But thank you everyone for coming out. We will definitely give you another date and time with another student panel discussion. Look for it on social media platforms. That being said, thank you so much. Have a great night.